Welcome, it's your friendly neighborhood Badger here, and I'm back with, I think is what is going to be the last video uploaded today of the 3.13 Echoes of the Atlas and Ritual League expansion. In this video, we've talked about everything about the leagues themselves before this video, but this video is going to be focused on returning leagues, most notably Harvest and Heist. We're going to be talking about the re-implementation of Harvest and what's changing to Heist to implement it into the core game as well. Right before I do that, hit that subscribe button down below to be updated with all of the new videos coming out of all of the new updates. This channel is going to be the one-stop shop for all of your information and going really in depth with it all. So subscribe, hit that little bell, and you'll get those notifications and you can watch those videos. But let's jump into it. So, we do know that in Path of Exile 3.13, Harvest and Heist are both going into the core game. Now, we also know that through the Echoes of the Atlas skill trees and everything like that, you can get some pretty cool Harvest bonuses and chances to obtain Harvest in your maps. But what we're talking about today is the re-implementation of it and what has been done to change Harvest. So let me just read what is here. Harvest has returned. Instead of having to plan and manage your own sacred grove, you will discover portals to establish gardens with multiple sets of harvests ready to go. From each pair of options, carefully weigh the encounter difficulty against the crafting outcomes before making a choice. You already know that. If you can slay the monsters that spawn, you'll be rewarded with life force that can be used to greatly improve your items. So, to begin with, Harvest is back, yes. It was mentioned that some of the power in Harvest will be nerfed. We don't know the exact numbers of all of that and everything like that, but there are a couple of things that we can kind of gain from. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to a screen cap here of the announcement video, and we can see a bunch of the yellow essence, or sorry, the yellow, well, it is kind of essence, the yellow essence from Harvest. You can see a bunch of the crafts here. So we've got upgrading tiers of essence, which was already in implicit modifiers on Cobalt, Crimson, Viridian, Prismatic Jewels, Abyssal Jewels, Timeless Jewels, implicit modifier on clusters. And then reforging is there as well. So we didn't get a lot of information from this screenshot, but we know that, you know, a lot of the crafts are back and in their same form. We do also see the garden itself looks a little bit differently when you go into it. Now, the big thing about the garden is you do not have to craft your own garden. For those who hated the micromanagement of making your garden, you don't have to do that. You don't have to worry. It's all pre-built for you as you enter the garden. And it looks like this. So you go in, you have a look at the mods. So say, for example, these blue mods over here. 15% more damage, 75% more maximum life, 60% more quantity, 120% more item rarity. And then these are all of the rowers that you get. You get some defense modifiers times 11, lightning times 6, chaos times 1, critical times 4, and exchanging a unique bestiary or harbinger item for a related item when harvested, you get one of those. So this actually looks like could be a little bit different to what we've had before in Harvest there, but it functions the same way. You click it, you kill the monsters, then you get the mods. Now, I know a lot of you are probably asking, what about hoarder crafting stations? Now, this was mentioned, but hoarder crafting stations are not things that you can purchase with life force anymore. Life force is not a thing that you're going to be storing or anything like that either. In our garden, we can have up to a maximum of 10 crafts stored in our hoarder crafting station, which can also be accessed from our hideout. So we don't have to keep going into the harvest zone to be able to craft our gear, which is super, super nice. We can do it in our hideout via the hoarder crafting station. Now, that does mean that trading is going to be a lot more difficult to be able to trade, which I think is a good thing for how Harvest functions. It got a little bit out of hand in the actual Harvest League itself. So 10 crafts maximum you can store. All the other crafts you'll either have to use or just waste, basically. Which means you're just going to be using the crafts a lot more just on random pieces of gear, and maybe you'll find something pretty interesting rather than just like putting them all away and realizing at the end of Heist League you have 4 quad tabs full of stuff you will literally never use again. So I think it's a really good change. It remains to be seen the power of Harvest and what they've done to cull that power, because Chris has definitely talked about the power being cut down a little bit because it was too easy to make the kind of items that you wanted to make. But that's all that I really have to say about Harvest itself. The next thing that we want to talk about, right before I move on, if you have any other comments on Harvest, comment down below. Let me know what you think, and we can talk about it. Next off is Heist. Now, I know there was a lot of negative reception to Heist being implemented into the core game of Path of Exile. A lot of people didn't like it. I personally didn't really enjoy Heist mechanic itself, but I think it was fine going into the core game mechanic. But what does this actually mean? Honestly, we did not get too much information. I'll read what is here, and then I'll talk about the other stuff that I do know. In Echoes of the Atlas, Heist contracts drop from Act 6 onwards. Rogues level up their skills faster, markers drop with higher stack sizes, and quest contracts are now dropped for you at the next Smuggler's Cache as soon as the quest is available. So Heist is still very much in the core game. You're still going to be dropping contracts in your maps. You're still going to be dropping rogue markers in your maps. Your rogues will level up quicker, which probably means that if you're playing a lot, you're probably going to get higher level rogues by day 2 or day 3, hopefully, if you plan to do the content. The other thing that I do know about Heist is that Chris has mentioned one of the big problems with Heist was the splitting of massively revealed Grand Heist contracts using fractured fossils to do so. Now, you can still actually fracture your Grand Heists, but what happens with those is all of the reveals become unrevealed. So you would then have to spend a massive amount of reveals from your masters and markers to re-reveal that map. What it means is if you want to still keep fracturing them, you can. It's just going to be a lot more effort, and you're going to need a lot more markers and all of that kind of stuff. So keep that in mind. That's one big nerf. The other thing that I guess it's not really a thing because we don't know about it, is all of the other things that we have issues of with Heist. Things like, the opening times of doors, the actual loot itself. We do know that the loot from especially currency got a little bit nerfed, but everything else around Heist is still in a bit of a mystery at the moment. We don't have a lot of information. I'm sure over the next week we're going to get all that information. Yeah. That's pretty much how it's all going to go. So to actually fracture your heists is going to be a lot more difficult. I think that's a great change, but it probably means I think this league, Heist is going to be pushed right back, and not many people are going to be doing heists. The only thing people will be doing heists for, unless it gets nerfed, is the experience gain from repository and tunnels. We'll have to see if that stays. If it does, that's still going to be the best leveling process possible. But that's all I really have to say on this whole topic of Heist and Harvest. So as I said, comment down below. Let me know what you think about the integration of these mechanics. Let me know if you're hyped for Harvest. Let me know if you think Heist sucks. And that is it. I think that's it for today, unless I decide to do one more video on a little bit of the last bits of content. Thank you so much for watching all of the content today, guys. If you want the playlist down below of all of the stuff I'm going to be releasing pre 3.13 release, it is in the description below. Definitely go check it out. And remember that sub button and that bell button. Thank you so much. Come watch me live at twitch.tv/thisisbadgergaming. This is going to be a massive league for us. And we're going to have a bunch of fun. Until next time, Badger, out.